So I'm live, I think. We kind of had a little frozen problem there where we weren't quite streaming. So anyway, welcome. This thing's probably going to be a really ugly mess. Do me a favor, hit something in the chat box and let me know if you can see it. I'm going to show you this chart one more time here. This is one of these mornings I'm just having a technical snafu one after another. So what I was showing was showing that the buyer traffic is still down. Listings are still way down. You remember before the crash, listings were way up, buyer interest was way down, and we didn't start seeing that start to improve until the investors came in and bailed us out of the mess. So we still only have 4,500 homes on the market this morning. That's kind of where we've been, kind of rough. And then the other thing that we're looking at here too is interest rates. This is the Treasury market. So now the Treasury market, if you're a chart analyst at all, like Pat and I were talking about a few days ago, this looked hopeful. You usually don't see things bouncing out of this range. So Treasuries were going down. So when we had a little hiccup that one happened right here, we thought, well, it'll come back down. But it just broke out. It didn't happen. And people in the mortgage industry are talking about that like crazy right now. What happened? 10-year Treasury yield way up. Kind of like what they call the taper tantrum that they had at one point when they raised rates back in 2018. But this time the central bank did not raise rates. It's just that the market is saying inflation's coming. And we are talking with Sam DeGreen tomorrow from DeGreen Financial. Here's where they're at. No, that's not the article. DeGreen Capital Management. And I'm going to ask him about inflation. I'm going to ask him how much this stimulus is going to affect inflation. And that's going to be quite the conversation that we're going to have tomorrow. Now, one of the things that we hear a lot and we see a lot is everybody's saying, well, we're going to have a crash. Crash is coming. Well, we're going to be outpriced. Well, we're looking at the forbearance data, and it's not showing us that yet. The forbearance numbers, again, Black Knight said this week's improvement was due to both the expected end of February expirations as well as services getting ahead of the curve in processing the extensions and removals. Servicers mean your bank. So they're processing these forbearances. They're either ending them, extending them. They're not getting worse. They're getting better. And right now it's still 5% of all mortgages out there. So I think I did some calculations in Arizona, and if 5% of our mortgages came on, it might put our listings up to normal. But it won't take too long to absorb all of those listings. Now, here's an interesting thing I'm going to share with you. And people, you talk about getting priced out of the market. Let's go to Canada, because Toronto's had this huge spike in real estate, just like we have. Their central bank has got overnight rates of 0.025, which is really small. It's practically free money. And they say their unemployment rate is 9.5%. We're saying our unemployment rate is 6%. I don't believe that number for a New York minute. But talking about Canada, what are people doing in Canada, in Toronto, because these house prices are out of reach? And there's this little site called the Housing Bubble blog. He's been writing that there's a bubble coming now for about 2 years. So, if you keep talking about it, eventually it'll happen. Maybe 5 years down the road. I don't know. So they're looking at these house prices that are just astronomical. The idea of West Hill fetching close to $3 million sounds astronomical. Well, and he says, has a lot to do with who's buying them. He says, I'm on the front lines and I see two families moving into a house like this, says Hoffman. I see people buying a house and renting out the basement for $2,000. I see a lot of gifted money. I'm seeing parents put $500,000 into kids' pockets for a down payment. There's a lot of money out there. I know every time we have a big sale here in a house like $600,000, $700,000, you go, wow, where are these people getting the money? How are people affording to move into homes in Northern Cal? Well, they make a lot of money up there, and they're probably splitting some of the resources and having having help with the payment? I don't know. We haven't reached that point here in Arizona, but there's talk of when does Arizona reach unaffordability? Well, if you look at San Diego, 5 years ago, 9 years ago, they were called affordable. And now they're not affordable at all. 9 years ago, they were kind of at the same place that we are now. And that went away. 9 years, everybody's going to San Diego. And now everybody's coming here. So we really don't know where it's going to head. Goldman Sachs is saying that 50% of the stimulus money is going to make its way into the stock market. What are you doing with your stimulus money? That's going to be interesting to see. If 50% of that money, all that stimulus money goes into the stock market, we're going to be even more overvalued than we are right now. That's another question I have for Sam DeGreen tomorrow. What do they see in that stimulus plan that's going to fire up any of our, real estate or fire up the economy? I'm not seeing it. I am seeing that. I think there'll be some movement in the stimulus money. $1,400 to millions and millions of people can make an impact. Last time you guys all saved it. This time we'll see what happens. We won't see those numbers though for another 13 to 18 weeks. And then there's that child tax credit that you get, about $3,400 per kid. And they're giving the child tax credit not at tax time, but they're going to go ahead and give it to you ahead of time, like $300 a month. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. And now they're just foaming at the mouth, waiting to spend another $2 trillion. This stuff scares me. So we're going to ask Sam about this tomorrow. I don't think I'll have any technical hiccups, but if I do, you'll be the first to know. Everybody have a great week.